Oh.
Boo. God damn it, Bobby.
Oh. So good. All right, when are we getting ready to go? Welcome back. This is the 11th episode, right? Am I right here? I keep getting it wrong, so you tell me. Fucking A, we should know this shit. It's 10 or 11.
Yeah, it's 11.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. It's 11.
It's
This is
11.
episode 11.
Yep.
Right?
So, welcome back to that
Yeah, it's 11. It is.
of the Wolf and Badge show. And I'm Wolf,
I'm Badge.
and we are going to talk about some stuff. But first, a word from our sponsors.
We don't have
sponsors.
Did you want me to play Conway Twitty right there?
I mean, you could have played some Conway Twitty.
What I'm trying.
Nope,
to
we're better
say.
without it. We're better without it. Just not the day for it. Turns out I was happy before, and now I'm not. So now we know. I was looking at some reviews that, did you see that Alien Romulus got really good reviews?
The what?
Alien Romulus?
The hell is that?
The movie. About Alien?
Oh, the new one?
The new Alien, yeah, it's called Romulus.
Oh, shit. No. I didn't.
Do you watch any of the Aliens?
No. I have. I'm kind of.
Kinda.
I'm not like a big Aliens guy. I'm more of a Predator guy.
I agree there, though. Predator's way cooler. But
I
Aliens
like
is
Alien versus Predator.
That
What
was
that
sweet, yeah.
back in the 2000s?
It was, yeah, that was a while ago. But actually, that's 20-year anniversary just came in.
Really?
The first one, yeah, a few days or a week ago. Nonetheless, that is not what we're going to talk about today. Once again,
I was
misdirection.
going to say that opinion seems very controversial.
For what?
The Alien versus Predator thing.
I don't.
But that leads us into what we are going to talk about: controversies.
I like that. Good segue. I love that, actually. We are going into some controversies, but we're going sports related this time. I know we sometimes do music, we sometimes do movies, we sometimes do
Theories,
random shit.
We
yeah,
do everything, man.
We do. We
It's
just
awesome.
enjoy talking. So this time we're going back to sports. We haven't done one since the Olympics. This time we are going to do some controversies in a different sport. Can you tell us which one that is?
It's going to be American football, Wolf. Where's
Yeah.
John Madden when he need him?
I know.
Football!
Apparently Nicolas Cage is playing John Madden. In the
I
new
saw
movie.
that,
That's
actually.
Weird. Yeah.
That's going to be weird.
That is going to be weird. I don't know how to feel about that. But yes, it is going to be about controversies, player controversies. We're going there's too many controversies in the NFL for us to do in one episode. This is not going to be.
This is probably going to be like a 10 episode.
We'll come back to this. We're going to put a pin in it at the end, and we'll be back at some point. So this is going to be player controversy or NFL controversies player
Edition. Yeah.
or part one. Something we got to have some kind of name from it.
I think we need to go above and beyond.
I do. Yeah, I'm not doing the whole damn thing. Our kids will not stand for it. They're going to be knocked out of the house like that Twisted Sister video. But, yes, NFL player controversies. We can go back for controversies from 1921, the second year of the creation of the NFL, with the Pottsdale Maroons or whatever the hell they're called. We're not doing that. We are going to just do players. We're not doing any team relocations. So if there's any relocation controversies that you think we missed, it's because we did not have enough time, because I'm talking about it now. We are not going to go over any coaching controversies, so you will have to come back for our Bounty Bowl episode, or our Spygate episode, or our Deflategate episode, or
Something. You're going to have to come back.
We're going to do those. They probably deserve their own episodes, though. Player safety, we're not going to get into domestic violence. There's too many of them, to be honest with you, in the NFL. And we're definitely not getting into substance abuse, because half of that substance abuse is allowed now, and the other half is steroids. So, I mean, same thing we did with the Olympics. We just don't care enough about going over that. No one wants to hear that for
Actually, I think we said that during the Olympics, too. We didn't give a shit.
No one cares about that, because
cares?
it's too common. Player safety is also something we're going to not talk about this time, but it is important.
That is very important.
But we are going to leave that for a different episode as well if we ever get to that one. The same thing with the name change with the Redskins or Chiefs. Different episode, guys. We are just going into the team/player conduct. So,
Crimes related to NFL players. Pretty
Yes.
much. For the most part. That's what you're going to be hearing.
yeah,
today.
it's gonna be pretty much players. We're not gonna do the rest of it today.
Yeah.
But with that being said, the NFL player conduct policy, if you've ever heard of it, was made in 2007 by Commissioner Roger Goodell, who I believe that was his first year. Anyway, he became commissioner, and he instituted a player conduct policy to help control off-field behavior by players because it was kind of getting out of hand. He was criticized for stripping teams of their draft picks and punishing certain players, despite them not being convicted. It's definitely been improved since then, I feel like. Like, now there's, like, a whole better process where, like, players don't actually get convicted. Like, they have to be convicted before they get their punishment.
And
I feel
that's
like
fair.
now. It is fair.
Be punishing people who actually didn't do it. You know what I mean? Like, that's...
Yeah. I know a big one with that was, like, Pac-Man Adam Jones. I don't know if you remember him, the cornerback for the Bengals, I think, mostly. I know that dude, I felt like he was always in trouble with Commissioner. Like, all the time, man. It was like the principal, like that one kid in your class, you're like, damn it, Pac-Man. Knock it off, dude. We're not going to get our cake or our recess or something like that. Like,
There's just the one kid.
that one kid, yeah, just the asshole that ruins it for everyone, dude. But that's not to say that old poor Pac-Man did that. Where we're at today, Pac-Man, we do miss you. You made the NFL fun. So the first one, who do you got for the first one?
You know what? We're going to Russian roulette it, and we're going to start with the topic of Jovan Belcher.
Jovan Belcher. So, if you don't know who Jovan Belcher is, anyone who's listening, he was a linebacker for the Chiefs. That's really all you got to really know. So, what is the controversy with Jovan Belcher?
From what I'm seeing, it looks like sounds like he killed his wife and then blew his face off.
Yeah, and it's a little bit. I mean, that's pretty dark. I was gonna say it's darker than that. No, you got pretty fucking right on, man. Yeah, his girlfriend's name. This is in late 2012. Was Cassandra Perkins, and they had a 3-month-old baby named Zoe, and they lived in Kansas City, obviously, because he works there. They were introduced through one of his friends, Jamal Charles, you may know as the running back at the time, who was a first cousin. His wife was a first cousin of Cassandra Perkins. So they met, and they argued frequently, according to a lot of people, including after Perkins returned home at 1 a.m. from a Trey Songz concert at the Midland Theater on the night of November 30th, 2012. Which, if you've been to a Trey Songz concert, you ain't getting home early. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't even know what that is.
Trey Songz? You all know Trey Songz?
I guess I don't.
Bottoms up, throw your hands up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, dude. If your biggest song is Bottoms Up, you gotta throw those hands up, you know?
And ain't no one getting home early.
No, you don't get home early from a Trey Songz concert. So this is already off to a bad start. They had an argument. Perkins went to the Power and Light district. I don't know where that is. It's apparently a district in, like, near Kansas City. Belcher was also in there with a different woman. So, here comes the downfall of that. After losing the woman in the crowd, he drove to her apartment, but she was not home. The police found him there at 2:50 after receiving a 911 call about a suspicious person in a car. He told them he was waiting for his girlfriend and forgot the code. They discussed the temporary tags on his car and urged him to go inside the building, saying they were trying to cut him a break there. He did not smell of alcohol, and he wasn't slurring, so anything like that.
So it wasn't like anything suspicious. They were
No.
just like, oh.
He was later buzzed in the building by neighbors and allowed to stay for the night. So there you go. He returned home at 6:30 or 7 in the morning and had another argument with his baby mama, Perkins.
Shocker.
And in that discussion, he drew a handgun and shot Perkins in front of her mom, who was
Holy
also there.
crap.
Just, hey, like, fuck you, bop. Not sure if that's exactly the woman down, so that I don't need to have people thinking that I know exactly what was said there. The police did arrive at the house at about 7:50 following a call
Holy
from the
shit.
mom. The mom had moved there recently from New York to, like, take care of the baby, Zoe.
While they were out living this nice
Yeah, 'cause
NFL
I mean,
life.
Yeah. The baby was crying in the background when Belcher's mom called the police. A 22-year-old Perkins had been shot in the neck, the chest, the abdomen, the hip, the back, the leg, and hand 9 times total.
Jesus.
So this isn't like a one shot. Like he
he was
put
like,
a
you know
clip
what?
on
Fuck
in her.
you, bitch. Done.
After he murdered her, which I can say that he murdered her,
Yep.
he drove his vehicle about 5 miles to the parking lot of the Chiefs practice facility next to Arrowhead Stadium. Stepped out of the car with the gun pointed to his head when he encountered the GM of the Chiefs at the time, Scott Pioli. And he told Pioli that he had just murdered his girlfriend and thanked him before asking for Pioli and Chiefs owner Clark Hunt to take care of his daughter for him if he could. Pioli obviously was trying to get him to drop the gun, right? Like,
trying to talk him
yeah,
out of it.
dude,
Like, hey,
don't
man,
do this.
Yeah, what are you doing?
And in that time frame, the head coach of the Chiefs came up, Romeo Crennel, as well as linebackers coach Gary Gibbs. And police were getting there at 8:01, and as the sound of sirens approached, Belcher told the men that he had to kill himself and he can't be here. And then he knelt down by a car, made a sign of a cross, and shot himself in the head.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Dude.
Photographs from that scene showed his blood smeared over the chrome gear shift. Perkins' blood smeared over the chrome gear shift of Belcher's vehicle, as well as broken glass on the dashboard, too.
That's just a very dark story.
Yeah.
And I know I went in going kind of funny, but that's when you break it down like that, it's messed up. And like, I feel bad for the coaches and stuff that had to witness that
like,
too. You know what I mean?
They still are in the NFL, I believe. Like, Romeo Crennel is still, like, I think he's still a pretty big coach there, and Scott Pioli for sure is. I don't think they're in KC anymore, but
right.
The autopsy showed that he did have a blood alcohol content of 0.17, so he was pretty fucked up. Like, he shouldn't have been driving. That's double the legal limit
right.
in Missouri. They also had a game scheduled at Arrowhead against the Panthers the day after that. They played the game. For some reason, they decided that was a good idea. No formal mention of the shooting was made. He had CTE. It was determined afterwards, at the time of his death. So, with that is pretty much the story of Javon Belcher's.
That's a dark-ass story, dude.
It is, yeah. And that was not even that long. That was 12 years ago. So,
yeah. That wasn't a story I was familiar with. Like, I knew, I know I'd brought it up, and you're like, hey, I know that story.
Yeah, I remember it was kind of crazy that someone did that. It is, like, I wouldn't say it's one of the biggest in NFL. There's so many. So, like, just one that you might not know about. And you weren't really into NFL really at that time, except the Lions,
no,
right?
I was going through some big life changes around that time.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say, you weren't really paying attention.
Really...
But no, pretty interesting. Obviously, like, when we're talking about these controversies, we're probably not going to go too far back. For some of the older ones, like, say there's someone who, like, got in a car accident and killed their girlfriend in the 70s. Nothing against them. We just don't know much about it. We're going to talk about the ones we know about. We're also not going to talk about anything that's not, they weren't found guilty, really. We can talk about it a little bit, but
yeah, I'm not
we're
about
going to let
spread,
you know.
Yeah, I'm not about to spread information, on stuff. Like, if you're not found guilty, it's not worth talking about because, like, your name technically shouldn't even be on the list.
Yeah. I mean, the next one I'm going to talk about, I don't know if you remember him. His name was Greg Hardy.
I don't.
So he was a football player who played, well, of course he's a football player. He's also a mixed martial artist. He played in, he fought in UFC. He was a defensive end. He played mostly for the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
I remember he was called the Kraken, was his nickname.
The Kraken.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So he got domestic violence charges. He was arrested for it after he alleged to have assaulted an ex-girlfriend by grabbing her, throwing her onto furniture, strangling her, and threatening to kill her.
Jesus.
This was in 2014. The judge found him guilty of assault, communicating threats, sentenced him to 18 months probation, suspending a 60-day jail sentence. He appealed it, et cetera, et cetera. Two parties eventually reached a civil settlement. His arrest and trial was focus of considerable controversy, though, that's when, like, America started being like, dude, these domestic violence cases are kind of out of control.
Yeah, we got to start getting a grip on this shit because it is too. I feel like that's like a big common thing with NFL players. I don't understand, dude. Like, is it the testosterone or like...
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of different factors. I think it's testosterone. I think it's like they probably come from rough upbringings. Some, like, a lot of the people that play ball, and if not, like, the CTE probably isn't helping.
Right.
But that was his last game played for the Panthers. Like, he never played with them again. Suspended 10 games. I think he, like, played with a few teams after it, but at the end of the day, I don't think he played much. He got cocaine possession in 2016. Went to mixed martial artists, and I think he had a pretty good like record in boxing or martial arts or something. But that's that one. So my wife loved Greg Hardy. I remember she loved him because he like when they they do the NBC like promos where they're like, "Hi, I'm Jeff Suttle and I'm from the Ohio State."
Yeah.
He did Greg Hardy, Hogwarts.
Yeah.
So she thought, seriously, it made a fan out of my wife until the whole kill everybody thing. So the next one you might know a little better, Aaron Hernandez. Have you ever heard that name?
Oh yeah,
You remember that one?
Yeah, I remember.
That's
that one.
2017, so that wasn't too long ago.
This is a sad. I know the ending to this too. It's very.
Yeah, Aaron Hernandez is the former tight end of the New England Patriots until he was found guilty of murder. He murdered someone called Odin Lloyd, who was a semi-professional American football player, and he was murdered in 2013. So it took 4 years for beginning to end of this whole thing. Now, if you watched football prior to this whole Odin Lloyd thing, like Aaron Hernandez was great to have in fantasy football. Like, let's be real here. Like, it was him and Gronk, dude, and they were just monsters. Like, the two tight end set was just something the NFL was not used to at that time. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Hernandez was a piece of shit. So, with that, he was arrested the day before my birthday. I remember this in 2013, charged with murder. He was released by the Patriots literally an hour and a half after he was arrested.
Oh yeah,
like they cut ties quick. So I'm like, oh, whatever he's arrested for is real. They also arrested two other people. Their names were Carlos Ortiz and Ernest Wallace. The next 2 days, both men were with Hernandez when they drove to the location of the murder. And Hernandez was eventually, in 2015, found guilty of first-degree murdering Hayes, as well as 5 weapon charges, which required a mandatory sentence of life in prison without parole. So his NFL career was over. Tried for 2 separate murder charges. He's in jail for, quite a while. And by, I think it was April 19th, 2017 at 3:05 a.m., Hernandez was found dead in his prison cell by correctional officers after he hung himself with a bedsheet. By killing himself before the appeal of his case could be completed, his conviction was vacated, technically returning him to a state of innocent until proven guilty. So when I said the innocent until proven guilty thing, I'm not talking about this. So
you were found guilty and you found a way out of it. That's
by killing yourself.
Yeah, you took yourself out of the game. That is God, that's so messed up.
Yeah. How do you feel about her? Do you remember him playing, or do you just remember the name?
I remember that whole. I remember the whole situation. I remember because what it was I remember him as a player, and then when I Hernandez found dead, and I was like, wait, what the hell, and I was looking into it, So I had done, and this was years ago, I, found I did some research and yada yada yada, and I kind of, I had the gist of what had happened.
And yeah, you can go deeper into that one. I'm not going to go too much deeper just because we have more to do. And it's pretty cut and dry. The dude, I believe, they had pretty irrefutable evidence that he was guilty. And then he just
it just makes me mad that he took a coward's way out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, after taking someone else's life.
That's my thing, is you took someone's life away from them, and then you pretty much took your own, and you should have suffered. That's the point of that. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Have you ever heard of Sam Hurd?
I've heard of Sam Hurd.
So, he was a wide receiver and convicted drug dealer.
Sweet.
He played for the Cowboys and Bears. I don't know where he played college ball. It doesn't matter. But I believe he was convicted of drug trafficking, tons of cocaine, dude. Just tons.
That sounds about right.
I remember reading that case, and I'm like, dude, Sam, what the fuck, dude? You were making money, and you decided to go drug deal?
Yeah.
Get out of the game, bro.
The millions of dollars that you're making isn't enough.
So stupid.
Yeah, that's just poor decision making is what that is. Or it's somebody who who grew up in a hard place
I couldn't get out.
and just couldn't break the habit. You know what it is?
I mean, that's...
Even though you were handed a fucking silver platter, you know what I mean? Like, you had it all right in front of your face.
Yeah, you deserve everything you got, though. Be a fucking smart choice. Make a smart choice there. Don't be it. Make it. But another one that we're going to talk very little about, but I wanted to bring him up, is Kareem Hunt. If you remember Kareem Hunt in 2018, he was badass running back.
Yeah, he was insane.
He was so good. He was the Chiefs running back. He was doing all this cool shit. And then in 2018, November, there was a video released from TMZ of Kareem Hunt allegedly involved in an altercation with a woman in a hotel after she called him a racial slur. So, did you ever watch that video of Kareem Hunt and that girl?
I think I did, yeah.
I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, he kicked her in the goddamn head.
Yeah,
dude.
he did.
Like, dude. So,
Like,
the Chiefs got rid of him. Because apparently he lied to him about the incident when they asked him about it. He did end up going to have a career with the Browns, and I think he still plays.
I think he's still there. Yeah, we're going into the season. I
He did play for the Browns last year.
Yeah.
Looking at it now, though, I don't know if he's got a job right as of now. Oh no, he doesn't have a job. No, but he
really hasn't been doing much since all that.
He's been a backup though to Nick Chubb this whole time. So
Yeah.
we'll see if anything pans out with his career. But it did not end his career. It just
didn't.
hurt it.
Yeah, I heard it. I mean, it's crazy too because I mean he was a beast. So it's crazy how a mental thing like that. Like that's how you kind of see that football is a mental game too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You got to be able to.
You can't be top dog for what 3 solid years and then all of a sudden you ain't shit. Like
It did, dude. His drop was like just worth nothing.
To be honest, I didn't even know that he was with the Browns. I just thought he wasn't playing. And I thought the Browns picked him up last year because I was like, oh shit, Hunt's on the roster, you know.
But it did, like you said, it didn't end his career. The same thing can be said about another player that I'm going to mention real quick, which is also was on the Chiefs at the time. Actually, I don't know if he was on the Chiefs yet, but he did become a Chief. Tyreek Hill.
What did he do?
Probably one of the fastest for sure wide receivers I've ever seen.
Well, yeah, he's the cheetah.
He's the cheetah. Yeah, dude, he's crazy. So in 2014, he was arrested in Stillwater, Oklahoma, on complaints of assault of his 20-year-old pregnant girlfriend, Crystal. The report states that the two got into an argument, and he threw her around like a rag doll, punching her in the face, sat on her, punched her in the stomach, choked her. He was dismissed from Oklahoma State from the football team after the charges. So he got kicked off his college
So that was
team.
why he was in college?
Yeah, it looks
Okay.
like. So he eventually pled guilty to domestic assault and battery by strangulation, and he had 3 years of probation for it. Anger management he had to take. A year-long batterers program, required to undergo domestic abuse evaluation.
That's crazy that he was just given that little slap on the wrist.
The baby was fine. She did have a boy.
Okay.
Good enough, thank God. But in March 2019, Tyreek Hill got in some issues again. He was investigated for alleged battery after an incident in which his 3-year-old son got a broken arm. So, the following month, his son was placed in the care of Child Services temporarily while they looked into it. And then the district attorney released a statement on April 24th saying that his office believed a crime had been committed, but the evidence did not allow them to determine the perpetrator. So Kansas Department of Children and Families continued to investigate. So, I believe after a while in the recording that surfaced, because there was a recording that surfaced, Hill and his fiance discuss their son's broken arm, and she says that their son is scared of him, in which Tyreek Hill responds, "You should be afraid of me too, bitch." Why are you laughing at that?
That's such a thug ass thing to say. Like that, you know what I mean? It's because we're so serious into reading this stuff, and then that's the fucking quote we pull out is "You should be afraid of me too, bitch." You know what it is? I was just like, Jesus fucking Christ! Here we are.
They reopened the case after that was closing. The medical investigation showed that his son's arm was broken by accident, bracing for a fall. And the full unedited audio from the recording was released in July of that year. And in the full audio, Hill accuses Espinal of lying about the domestic violence in 2014 and about Hill breaking their son's arm. The NFL said they had always had the full audio, so that could mean that both those things were not real.
Right, because, if they had the full audio, then...
The NFL did not suspend him for it. and they found no evidence that Hill violated the PCP, the personal conduct policy, but the incident will be re-examined if new evidence emerges. 2023 comes around and Tyreek Hill
Here we are.
is investigated. Which, by the way, I'm going to say it right now because this is another whole episode. Antonio Brown will not be featured in this episode. Like, that is a whole thing that we would have to get into.
That's going to be like a fucking 5-hour episode.
Dude, yeah, he's too, like, he makes Tyreek Hill, like, look like a little choir boy. So Tyreek gets investigated by Miami-Dade police because he's now in Miami. He's a Dolphin now. For allegedly assaulting a male employee of a Marine Center because they had a verbal disagreement. So there's that. And then you got tons of the paternity lawsuits. I swear to God, Tyreek Hill gets he's got like 8 kids being born right now from all different girls. Dude, he's just doing his own thing.
Which is funny because isn't his wife at like every game? Like he always gives her every time he scores a touchdown, he gives his wife a game ball.
I think so. But I mean, if he scores 2, who else is he going to give it to, Eric? He's got to find some of his honeys. Can't give 2 balls to the same woman. So that's all we're going to talk about with Tyreek Hill because he is still an active player, and this did not hurt his career. He is still going strong. I would say he's probably the best wide receiver in the league right now. So going forward, we're going to go into Ryan Leaf. Have you heard of Ryan Leaf?
No, I do not know who
this
that
one
is.
goes back a little bit. So you may remember, because I know that you're a huge fan of his. You remember the draft that Peyton Manning went number 1 to the Colts.
Yep.
Number 2 was the Chargers. And it was always going to be 1, 2, Manning, Leaf. So Ryan Leaf went to the Chargers. Ryan Leaf ain't no Peyton Manning. Like, it's just ain't it.
Obviously, because I've never heard him.
Yeah, he got in a lot of trouble. I think like now he works with a group of sober living houses. Does it like radio show and stuff like that. But his NFL career was not good. His career was shortened due to 1, he wasn't that good. I'm just gonna be real about it. But 2, bad behavior, injuries. He was doing drugs like crazy. His work ethic sucked. His ability to stay focused sucked. Let me show you his stats at the end. So this is his career NFL stats: 655 attempts, 317 completions for a 48.4% percentage. So not good. Touchdown to interception amount: 14 touchdowns to 36 interceptions. He threw 3,600 yards and he had a pass rating of 50. Not good.
Solid.
That's your number 2 pick.
That's
like Zach Wilson numbers. And I said it, Zach. I don't fucking care if you heard.
God.
You're awful. I hate you. But, so that's a little bit about Ryan Leaf. He also was doing burglary and drug trafficking. You know, the usual. We could go into Ray Lewis, but like we said, we are not doing stuff where you were not proven guilty, Ray.
So, hey, I mean, I don't mean to, keep sitting on stuff, but there's a little bit of a history before he starts doing all that crazy stuff.
Who, Leaf?
Yeah.
What's the history there?
Like, apparently he was diagnosed with a brain tumor in 2011, and then he tried to kill himself in 2012, and then after that's when all the burglaries and, like...
Oh, is that when he did the burglaries?
Like, he was like, fuck it, we're going out.
What? I mean, YOLO, I guess. That's not really what I do with my YOLO time.
Right. But yeah, no, sorry. I saw that as I was...
Yeah, no, that's something important. I didn't see that.
Because I guess, I mean, something life-changing like that would cause you just to kind of go bananas. Like, I'm going to die anyways, You ever seen the movie Deadpool?
Yeah, or, like, bucket list. Maybe, like, go see the Grand Canyon, you fucking freak.
No shit.
Like, don't be weird about it. But I was talking about Ray Lewis a little bit in the fact of he was accused of murder. My wife won't let me talk bad about Ray Lewis.
He was not guilty.
He was found not guilty. Whether he was guilty or not is to be decided. But, well, it's not going to be decided. But we don't know for sure. But he was found not guilty nonetheless. That's all I'm going to say there. Some kid, it sounds like they fell down or something upstairs. But the reason being is my wife is a huge Ravens fan. I'm not doing it, man. So, Jamie, I love you. And Ray Lewis was never guilty. I don't care what anyone says. All right, moving on.
I'm just saying, if you're dumb enough to try to fight Ray Lewis, you just...
Ray Lewis doing his squirrel dance. I murder someone every goddamn weekend.
Like fucking super. That's like his super saiyan, Like,
Yeah, it made me
just
spit
some
out my
dude's
coffee.
talking shit. And he's like, ooh, talking shit. Ooh, talking shit. Ah, you know?
Yeah, I don't want to piss him off, man. Like, that sounds terrible. Another one that's somewhat recent that you might know is another running back, one of the legends of the NFL, Adrian Peterson.
Oh, yeah.
AP or AD as some call him. Great. Mostly a Minnesota Viking is what we know him for. So that ended kind of on a bad issue, I guess. So in 2014, I remember because I was at my sister's, wasn't her wedding? What the hell was I doing?
When was this?
2014.
Yep.
So I thought it was 2013. I'm pretty sure it was 2013 when this all happened, though. His son died in 2013. Maybe that's what it was. At a hospital due to injuries sustained during alleged assault by the boyfriend of his child's mother.
Yep.
That's
I remember
what it was.
that.
I remember that one.
Yep.
He'd only learned about the boy a few weeks prior to his death, and he never met him. So I guess that's not the one that was during my sister's wedding. God damn, I can't believe I remember that. The one that I'm thinking of is the legal issue where he himself was...
That was 2014.
Yeah, 2014, okay. In Montgomery County, Texas, where he was found guilty on charges of reckless or negligent injury to a child after he had used a wooden implement to injure his 4-year-old son. Apparently, the case alleged that he used a tree branch to beat his son repeatedly on his back, his buttocks, his genitals, ankles, and legs, describing it as a switch.
Ugh.
He said he had it used on him as a kid, and that's one of those, like, down in tech. It's. I'm not defending this in any way. I don't believe spanking does anything to help kids in any way, but I could see the societal norm he would have learned from that, like learning from his parents. Like, that's probably how things were done in Texas at that time. Not, like I said, not saying it's a good idea.
Bro, look at I got hit with fucking anything that my mom could get her fucking hands on, bro. Like, you know, she didn't like sit there and just beat the fuck out of me, but you know, like it was.
Oh,
like,
I got hit with
you know
some
what I mean?
things too. Yeah. So the photos posted showed his son's legs with slash-like wounds, though. So like,
that's still not.
I've never
okay.
been hit with a whip, or not a whip, a switch.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like, one, if you're bleeding, like, you're fucking up your kid. Like, don't do that.
Yeah, that's
Like,
too
I'm
much.
not okay
there is
with
a
that.
limit. You know, there is going too far.
Well, the
sure.
limit, in my eyes, is don't fucking touch your kid that way at all.
Yeah.
But, like I said, society and historical standards still states that's crazy if you look back on it. I'm sorry, it's just dumb. They deactivated him for one game with the Vikings, and then he pled no contest to recklessly assaulting his son. Avoided jail for it, but then he was put on probation and ordered to do 80 hours community service. He was suspended by the NFL, and his season was over.
Yeah.
So, never really... I don't think he ever played for the Vikings again.
Mm-mm.
But he didn't really have any other issues until 2022, where he was arrested in L.A. at the airport for domestic violence against his wife. So, just normal NFL stuff, you know?
Just normal.
So, yeah. But,
Hey, ladies, keep going after them NFL players, huh?
dude, that's a risk reward you know you would take if you could. Don't act like, oh, this guy might beat the fuck out of me, but he is really fucking rich. So let's move on to the next person. And that person is Ray Rice, which, another Raven. I'm sorry, babe, I love you. This one, he was found guilty, though. I'm sorry. There's video. You can't get me to say anything different. Do you know anything about... You remember the Ray Rice one?
No, but I know who Ray Rice is.
Right, Ray Rice, the running back for the Ravens. So his domestic violence charges were in 2014 as well. So I know we said we weren't doing domestic violence, but these are like the outliers we're going through.
Yeah.
So he and his fiancee, Janae, were arrested and charged with assault after a physical altercation at the casino in Atlantic City, the Rebel. After heavy drinking, they got into an argument, and Rice then followed her into an elevator. And
Oh, shit. No, okay.
you remember it?
Yeah, I remember it. Oh, yeah.
And he left the table where they had been seated, then starts shouting at each other, and she appears to spit in his face in the video. And he knocks her cold. Like, on video. Like, and that's what killed him right there, it was on video.
Yep.
TMZ posted the video and of them hitting each other with Rice punching her in the face, causing her to fall and hit her head. on the handrail and lose consciousness. And then the dude drags her out of the elevator, dude. Like it's a scary movie. Like, the fuck you doing, man? So the Ravens issued a statement following the release of the video, calling it a serious matter. Beforehand, they didn't do that. The Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office handled it, and law enforcement officials showed the Associated Press a video with audio, and that was longer than the video released by TMZ. He was indicted on third-degree aggravated assault with jail sentence of 3 to 5 years and a fine of $15,000. 6 weeks
doesn't seem like a lot. You just fit. Hey.
No, but I mean, I don't want to spend 3 to 5 years in jail.
That's true.
And 6 weeks later, they got married. They did. I remember it being like, "What the hell?"
That's crazy, dude. Because you just lost your NFL career. So,
yeah, he got suspended for 2 games of the season. The criminal charges were later dropped after he agreed to undergo court-supervised counseling.
yeah.
And then, and in a news conference afterwards, announcing longer suspension lengths for future domestic violence, he said he didn't get it right. Roger Goodell did about the punishment. So Ray Rice really never played much again after all this.
Why would he?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of it for him. Like, he was really good, too. Like, I remember, what was it? Hey, diddle, diddle, Ray Rice up the middle. Like, he was like, it was like a 4th and 20-something, dude. And he made it, like, they did a draw play for some reason, and he, like, got all 20-something yards. Yeah, something like that. He was really good. The next guy on here is Henry Ruggs. So Henry Ruggs was a Raider. This has nothing to do with most Raiders, because most Raiders are amazing, beautiful people. That's my favorite team. But Henry Ruggs was not one of them. I know it was an accident, but still, don't be a jackass. In 2021, you probably remember this one, I'm assuming, right?
No.
Ruggs rear-ended another car going at high speed outside of Vegas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Killing 23-year-old Tina Tinter and her dog Max, where they burned to death in the collision. He was driving under the influence, resulting in death and reckless driving. So he was drinking at Topgolf on the Vegas Strip hours earlier. Had a Chevy Corvette left, and digital evidence shows he was going 156 miles per hour.
How did he survive? That's my question.
Probably because of his speed. Like, he probably just, like, bounced right off it. I don't know how that works.
That's crazy, dude.
He attempted to panic stop the Corvette, so it's not like it was like him like trying to kill someone, obviously. But as he approached the Toyota RAV4, lost control, slammed into her at 127 miles when he hit her. Her and her dog burned to death as her vehicle was engulfed in flames.
Immediately, that vehicle went.
Yeah, the
right
video
now.
of it. There was barely any vehicle left when you saw that video, if you remember.
That's sad, dude.
It is really, really terrible, honestly. He was sentenced on August 9th of 2023 last year to spend 3 to 10 years at High Desert State Prison in Nevada. So,
Should be life.
honestly, it should. Yeah, I hate saying it
Just
like
because
that,
you're a
like-
fucking football player, though.
Well, I don't know about life because it was an accident. Like, I think there's no... I think 40 years, 30 years, for sure. I think...
yeah.
Like, life is kind of...
25 to life.
There you go. Yeah, like with parole, maybe.
Yeah.
He was released by the Raiders because the Raiders will not have any of that shit, and I won't hear any different. They did, though. They got rid of him. And, but at the same time, the Raiders players were like, he's still my brother. I love him. And they got some backlash for that, I remember. I remember being like, dude, what do you think they're... Like, that's like if your best friend accidentally killed someone because they made a terrible mistake. You're still going to love your best friend.
Yeah. I mean, if
You're
you
not-
want to look at Motley Crue.
Yeah. Vince Neil. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. So
I guess if you go that route, like, well, my thing is like 157 miles an hour, dude. That's fast. Why are you driving that fast?
He's a
why
jackass. And he deserves...
why did you feel like you needed to go that fast? Where were you going?
He has a Corvette. That's what he was thinking. Young man with a Corvette.
Yeah.
We've all had that want to go as fast as you can. The problem is you can't do that, number one. But number two, especially when you've been drinking.
Yeah. That's just a sad story, man.
Yeah, it is. The next one's even worse. It is Darren Sharper. Do you remember him?
I do.
So he was a safety in the NFL for 14 years. Mostly played for the Packers. So you probably know him because of that, and you probably hated him. His was a few years ago. They actually started doing the controversy here. The allegations were in 2011. 2 women filed a criminal complaint against him with Miami Police Department, alleging they were possibly sexually assaulted after passing out on his couch and waking up to find their underwear missing. Hey, we've all been there, right? But trying to lighten the mood. The women in Miami were there for spring break, and they had been brought to Sharper's condo by a mutual friend. And the mutual friend, they passed out on his couch, well, Sharper's couch, and one of the women claimed she woke up to a man attempting to put his penis in her mouth, but she pushed the man away. She stated that when she woke up again, a man was lifting her dress. So she woke up, her friend was like, let's get the fuck out of here. They discovered their underwear was missing, and they were taken to the hospital where they underwent rape examinations. Records show no evidence the detective in charge of the case sent the rape kits for detailed examinations. So, there's that. And then Sharper was accused on February 2nd, 2013 of helping drug a woman who was working as a model at a pre-Super Bowl party and was consequently raped by Sharper's friend Brandon Lisciardi. He was accused of raping a woman on August 31st, 2013. On September 23rd, 2013, he was accused of drugging 2 women in New Orleans and raped them with his accomplice, Eric Nunez. One of the victims filed a report, and him and his friend raped the women. October 30th, 2013, he was accused of drugging 2 women and raped one of them in L.A. after meeting them in a West Hollywood nightclub. November 20th, 2013, after meeting 3 female Arizona State University students in Tempe, he was accused of raping 2 of them after drugging them. This kind of goes on and on through 14.
Jesus, dude. It's just like a fucking never-ending list.
Yeah.
For a whole year. It's like a whole year of him just drugging. Sorry, 2011. And then, 2011 was his first one. And then it was 2013.
Yeah, he was busy that year.
Like, holy shit. Dude, you are a fucking NFL player.
Former at this point. He did his whole career before this.
Like,
not saying he didn't do it while he was...
That's crazy, dude. Like, what the fuck do you go raping people for, man?
I'll never get that one, man. I'll never get that one.
Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? You're a loser, dude.
Yeah. Well, he's in prison now. He's still in prison in Miami. And he's not scheduled to be released till late 2028. So, there's always that.
Good, so he can come back out and do it again.
Yeah, I mean,
Jesus
what's the recidivism right there?
He's still alive. No one killed him yet.
I'm not going to go into like O.J. Simpson either, because that's a whole thing I'm seeing on here. Another weird one, and the last one of just the normal people, is Kellen Winslow II I'm going to talk about. Do you know who he is?
I do not know who that is.
So his dad was, he's got a famous dad. Kellen Winslow, I believe, was his dad. And he was selected by the Browns, where he played 4 seasons and was named to the Pro Bowl, and then played for the Bucks, the Patriots, and Jets. He hasn't played since 2013, but he attempted to come back in 17, 18. In 19, he was convicted of rape and sexual battery. So he was charged with drug possession in 14. It was synthetic marijuana. It is what it is. 18, arrested fleeing a mobile home park in California. He was charged with a felony first-degree burglary. So Winslow didn't have it great after he left the NFL. On 2018, June 14th, charges of kidnapping and rape were against him. He stood trial for kidnapping and raping 2 women. Placed on house arrest with GPS monitoring. And then he was also charged with raping an unconscious 17-year-old girl in 2003 when he was 19. So this is not like a just came out of nowhere kind of thing.
Right.
This dude knows what he's doing. He's kind of a piece of shit. His bail was revoked in 2019. He was jailed. Going back forward, he was convicted... He was convicted of rape, a lewd act in public conduct, and indecent exposure. If it's the one I think it is, I believe he had an old lady that he was masturbating in front of or something. I'm not entirely sure if that's true, but really weird shit with this Kellen Winslow guy. So he's, I believe, in jail too now. I would like to think he's in jail now.
Yeah,
he's
convicted of rape. Yeah, he pleaded guilty to the rape of an unconscious teen and sexual battery on a 50-year-old hitchhiker.
Yeah, shit like that. Like, that's
What?
not old, man. I'm sorry, 50-year-olds. That's not old. I thought she was like 80, 90.
That,
Wait. Yeah, just weird shit like that.
God. Why? I'll never understand, dude.
Well, sometimes you do it alone and sometimes you're with friends. And that brings us to our next one, the Minnesota Vikings boat party scandal. Have you heard of that one? I'm just telling you the truth, man.
No, I briefly, as we were kind of running through topics we were going to discuss, I saw that one and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, so 2005, imagine it. You're on Lake Minnetonka and you're just having the greatest day with 16 buddies of yours from the Minnesota Vikings football team. And you're like, dude, let's have sex party. Bring Dante, bring Fred, bring more, maybe some Pat. So the whole point of the matter is there was 17 members of the Minnesota Vikings on this boat, including your guy Nate Burleson was there. Yeah,
My guy Nate Burleson.
the former Lions.
Yeah, but
All right, well, I'm just saying. 2 houseboats got rented. Some, but not all, the players performed sexual acts in front of the crew members. Prostitutes from Atlanta and Florida were flown in for the party in order to perform the sex acts. 90 people on the 2 boats. Smoot later estimated that there were 100 women present. That doesn't even fucking make sense. And an anonymous former player of the Vikings claimed that this is not the first time this incident had occurred. The scandal, you might know it as the Love Boat scandal, like the television program, or the Smoot Boat scandal. Allegedly, photographs were taken at the party showing people engaging in sexual intercourse. 4 of the players were charged with misdemeanors. Later commentators pointed to the scandal as a key event in the history of the team, leading to the firing of the head coach, Mike Tice, who got replaced by Brad Childress, which, if you remember Brad Childress, by the end of it, they hated him too. Mm-hmm. The Vikings always have it rough. A woman called the police around 9:20 on the night of to report approximately 7 black men, her quotes, not mine, had urinated in her yard after exiting a big shuttle bus limousine. The woman later mentioned that the men were sitting at Al and Alma's, the name of the charter cruise company that the Viking players were later alleged to have used. Stephen Doyle, attorney for the charter company, said some of the sex acts alleged by witnesses to have taken place during the party include masturbation, oral sex, anal sex, woman on man, woman on woman, toys, double penetration, middle of the floor, middle of the couches, middle of the room. Apparently those are all different things. The cleaning crew reported finding used condoms, KY jelly, handy wipes, wrappers for sex toys, and it was incredible how it was left. Never in the history of this group of people have they ever had anything like this. No drugs and no minors on 2 boats, and not every Vikings player aboard acted inappropriately. As I'm reading this, though, where's the scandal?
It's right here.
Because it's prostitutes?
Well, what it was...
Sounds like just people having like an orgy.
It says, so what it says Fred Smoot led it. He was the ringleader. He said he had allegedly pushed a double-headed dildo into the vaginas of 2 women who were lying on the floor in the area. After one of them left, he continued to manipulate inside the other woman.
Okay, and that's fine though, but like, didn't they come up there for that?
Right, that's why they were there. So I'm thinking that's why they're probably calling it a scandal, because I don't see... I mean, if you willingly got on the boat knowing exactly what you were getting on the boat to do...
Yeah, I don't see anything.
I don't see a case for you.
I mean, I get the scandal and the fact of, like, it's raunchy, I guess, but, like, that sounds like every 20-year-old's male's dream, right? Like...
Yeah, I mean, it says that Culpepper, McKinney, and Smoot and Williams were charged with indecent, disorderly, and lascivious conduct.
I mean, I get that it is prostitution because they're paying them. Like,
yeah, but that's what you were there to do.
I mean, if that's the scandal, the prostitution, I mean, I guess that makes sense as being like a legal scandal, but prostitution is its own argument in itself. That should be illegal.
Right, yeah.
And, like, I guess a lot of the people said that, like, it didn't even happen. Those guys are kind of silly. Lack of discipline will no longer be tolerated at any level, according to Ziggy Wilf, who was the owner of the Vikings. I think he might still be the owner of the Vikings, or did he just die? I don't think he's dead yet. The events of the past week are unacceptable. If there was any sense that we would look the other way regarding this type of behavior, I want to make it extremely clear this behavior will never be tolerated again, is what he said. Like I said, I don't see the big deal on this one. The fact that it's a scandal at this point.
Yeah, I guess I don't see, because like I said, as you break it, it sounds interesting. The title catches you. It's like, ooh, what'd they do? And then it was like, oh, it was a bunch of rich football
consenting
players
adults
having sex with women who were down.
Like, I think the worst thing about that is you peed in someone's lawn, dude. Don't do that.
Yeah, before you even started doing all that.
Yeah, like, don't do that.
Don't just walk up and piss in somebody's yard.
Especially when you're going out on a boat. Just pee in the lake.
Jesus. Yeah, that was kind of a letdown. I was kind of
excited.
letdown.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh shit, what's going on with this one?
Get spicy, and then there really was no spice.
Yeah, dude, that's second. What the hell? Second one that we've read today. That I'm like, and then the next one we're going to talk about is the Michael Vick investigation. Mm-hmm. So I know for a fact you know this one.
Yep.
So what do you got?
So we know 2006. Everybody knows Michael Vick.
Who was Michael Vick? He was the quarterback.
He was the quarterback for. Well, he was the Falcons.
Yeah, the Falcons. Dude, he revolutionized the game with his running.
He's an elite quarterback. He was like one of the.
I won't go elite, but he was good.
What? Michael Vick is elite. What are you talking about?
No, he used his feet. That's all.
You know what? That's a whole different. You know, we'll go to that later.
He's an elite dog fighter.
He's a legacy.
So Madden 2004, he was like completely unbeatable. His player, like, let's be real.
So, yeah, I know.
Not in real life.
But anyways, so what had happened is, so that's Michael Vick. He played some seasons with the Eagles too.
Yeah, later.
Later on, after all this stuff went down.
Yeah, he had to do a comeback.
So, what it was is, in 2006, he was involved with in a dog fighting ring with over 70 dogs, most of them being pit bull terriers. Ugh. And they were showing signs of injuries, seized, and along with physical evidence during several searches on his 15-acre property by local and state and federal authorities. They revealed that he'd be working with 4 others.
Well, and to stop you with that, the investigation in 2007, when they did like check for the possible dogfighting operation, the evidence they included was like blood splatter was on the second floor of one of the outbuildings, dog treadmills, scales, a pry bar used to open a dog's mouth.
Dude, that's
an apparatus used for breeding known as the rape rack, like where they would have a female, I'm assuming, put up on this rack. Dude, like, what the fuck is that? Like, when you hear dog fighting, you're like, oh, that's an asshole that's just fighting. No, there's a whole mistreatment of these animals that you don't know.
Yeah.
So that just grossed me out. The ESPN also reported on April 27th that Vick denied all this of 2007. Neighbors reported seeing him in town from time to time, and clerks at nearby stores reported seeing him buying nutritional supplies for dogs. Authorities told the news media that although some equipment could be used in a legitimate dog breeding, there was also a pry bar, which I just mentioned, used to pry apart a dog's jaws in dog fighting. Bloodstained carpeting on the floor of a room inside the home above the garage. He said he was an unwitting victim of someone in his family when first talked to about it. So he's lying right away. He then goes to sell the house. By May, the Humane Society called upon the NFL in a letter to take a serious look at the problem of people in the NFL getting into dog fighting, because apparently it was a major issue. Might still be. I know, like, animal fighting is just a kind of a.
It is it's a sick thing. That,
it's like for
that people like to do, and it's
like cockfighting.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
The prosecutors say he still didn't have enough solid evidence linking Vick to the dog fighting by the end of May that year, because there was no eyewitnesses who say they saw dog fighting. So that's hard. He said he was proceeding very carefully because he had another dog fighting case with a few years back and lost it because of an illegal search. So he's trying to play his cards right. He was confident there was going to be charges, but he just couldn't say who would be charged yet. And then ESPN reported on May 27th that a confidential source identified a man who has been involved in dogfighting for over 30 years, claimed that Vick was one of the heavyweights in dogfighting world, and was poised to tell ESPN's Outside the Lines about the time in 2000 when his dog squared off against Vick's dog. The man claimed that Vic would bet a large dollar amount on fights, up to $40,000 on his dogs. After that, Poindexter told ESPN he recently received a call from a person he deemed credible and that the informant gave him info regarding the ongoing investigation. He said, and quote, "We have people who are volunteering to make those allegations." Asked whether there was evidence that placed Vic at dogfights, Poindexter did say, end quote, "Yes, if he did anything, he won't get away with it if we can prove it, but it's not easy," end quote. He also said that they're moving carefully, slowly, building a strong case. So this moved really quick when it started moving. This was the end of, in terms of me and you, this was the end of our junior year in high school.
Yep.
And then eventually someone comes forward. Newspaper reported Sheriff H.D. Brown had an investigator interviewing additional witnesses who had come forward, and determination of credibility was in process. So they're following everything. Federal officials got involved, and eventually a case investigation goes into Vic's property in Virginia. And it's one of the many investigations underway around the U.S. by the USDA using a new federal law enacted by Congress earlier that year, making organizing a dogfight a felony. So it had just become a felony that year.
Yep. So buckle up.
Making organized dogfighting a felony is probably going to put away some people that got away with it pretty well in the past. And then July comes, and federal authorities filed documents in Richmond outlining an alleged interstate dogfighting operation at the property owned by Vic. An inquiry into the U.S. Freedom of Information Act states that. He's not named in the documents, but his address is in the documents. So, after all that, like, this thing's moving quick. When it's finally... I'm trying... does it say what day it was finally announced for you?
No. I'm not seeing anything right now. There's a lot of
information on this one. Yeah, they eventually bring charges against Michael Vick, right? Like, and I remember when this was happening, I'm like, dude, what the hell is this even about? I remember just seeing it in the news, and I was like, dude, I was in a different time in my life where I wasn't paying much attention to the news.
Yeah, we were kids.
And I'm like, dude, Michael Vick, what is you doing, baby girl? You got a great thing going, man.
Yep.
Well, eventually it turns into somehow he's found, like, to where he needs to stand trial. So with that, it is like everyone starts dropping him because PETA's taking this shit real seriously. You know PETA. When you get PETA pissed, dude, PETA don't fuck around, man.
Yep.
John Kerry, the guy who ran for president in 2004, urged Roger Goodell to suspend him. Don't know why he gets a fucking say, but I get where he's coming from. Nike suspended his contract without pay. They wouldn't sell any more of his product. I remember people who couldn't even get the number 7 Falcon jerseys after a while. So eventually he's found guilty. Or pleads out or whatever he does. He admits to participating in funding an interstate dogfighting ring. And his official statements that he did not place bets or take any prize money. He was suspended from the NFL. And then he was sentenced in December to 23 months in prison for the investigation and dogfighting charges. But they take 3 months off if he's on his good behavior. Well, he was. He got taken out of prison in 2009, May 20th. And July 21st when he finally left. His probation ended in 2012. He did restart his NFL career, like you said.
Yep.
Became an Eagle. He did pretty good, honestly.
Didn't he follow? He followed Donovan McNabb, right? That's kind of who was.
Yeah, I think he was kind of like replaced McNabb. There might have been someone in between them a little bit, like Kevin Cobb or something. But yeah, I mean, he did really good there, where he came back and he was good for a minute, and then everyone kind of figured him out again, and he couldn't run like he used to.
Yeah, he was old at that point.
But yeah, that is all on Michael Vick. That brings us to our next one, which is Peyton Manning. I know you don't like hearing it about your boy, but do you know about this with Peyton Manning?
I did not. I actually, when I saw his name on the list, I was like, what the hell did Peyton do?
Yeah, in 96, he was accused of sexually assaulting his trainer, Jamie Ann Nawright, pressing his genitals against her face during a foot exam. Sorry, dude. What? He claims that he's just pulling a prank by mooning another athlete in the room, as Nawright bent over to examine him.
I mean, and I honestly...
Everyone else denies it. Nawright denies that. The other athlete denies that.
Really?
She got $300,000 for the alleged failure, for its alleged settlement failure in 4 instances, and resigned from the school. She initially made a list of 33 complaints about the school about it. She filed defamation against Peyton Manning because apparently he defamed her in a book he wrote with his father and author John Underwood. And it settled after the court ruled there was sufficient evidence for it to be heard by a jury. So Peyton Manning's like, I don't want to do this. So
that's crazy.
You didn't know that about your boy,
I did not know that. Stop calling him my boy. He's not my boy.
You love Peyton.
I used to love Peyton.
Dude, you were a huge Peyton fan when we were kids. That is the only thing they have on Peyton. It looks like that did not damage his career. He went to have a Hall of Fame career. Seems like one of the nicest guys in Hollywood now. But nonetheless, apparently he stuck his balls on someone's face. Which is not funny at all. Stop laughing, you bastard.
I'm not even laughing.
I know, that's me. Sorry, it's just ridiculous to say. Next up is Ben Roethlisberger. I'm sure you remember our Steelers quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger.
Yep, Big Ben.
He was accused by 2 women of sexual assault in 2 lawsuits, one in Nevada and one in Georgia. The first one was muddled with evidence of the accuser bragging of having consensual sex with him prior to the suit. So yeah,
let's toss that one out.
Yeah, that one's not great. Second one was left open with conflicting accounts of the victim's testimony and that of law enforcement and Roethlisberger. No criminal charges were ultimately brought up against him in either one, so kind of breaking our rule there. But he was nonetheless suspended for the first 6, I think it turned into 4 games of the 2010 season for violating the NFL PCP. In order to undergo a professional behavior evaluation, it must adhere to any counseling or treatment that is recommended by the professional evaluators. I know for a while he was called Ben Rapelessberger.
I never heard that one.
Yeah, people were calling him Ben Rapelessberger for a little bit there. Ugh. So
that's not fun.
No, that's not for him. No, I don't know if he even heard it, but that was what a lot of chats were saying at the time. But the newest one, the one that actually overshadows both of those, and most of these, is Deshaun Watson. Yep, Deshaun Watson. On March 16, 2021, this one moved quick. I remember this one. A Houston massage therapist filed a civil lawsuit delivered by attorney Tony Busby against Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson, claiming that Watson had touched her with the tip of his erect penis while asking her for sex during a visit to her home for treatment in March of 2020. So COVID hits. Watson's like, dude, time to get that massage going. He vehemently denied Busby's claim, stating, I have never treated any woman with anything other than the utmost respect. According to the suit, the massage therapist immediately ended the session and cried afterwards. Several weeks later, 2 additional NFL players contacted the massage therapist on Watson's recommendation. The suit also claims Watson later reached out to the therapist and apologized for his actions. Do you remember this one?
Yeah, I do. Oh, yeah. This is a fresh one, man.
Yeah, this one's fresh.
Yeah.
The next day, another massage therapist represented by Busby claimed Watson had met her at the Houstonian Hotel in August of that year and completely undressed and refused to cover up, directing her to massage his anus and penis and making a movement that caused her to touch his penis. Therapist also claims he had only paid her half of the charges due to her for her services. So, strike 2.
Strike 2. There we are. Let's keep adding them up.
On March 18, 2021, a third civil lawsuit was filed against him, alleging he had forced a massage therapist to perform oral sex on him before she blacked out in an office building in December of 2020. Claims that after he left, she was shaken and defecated on herself. I don't know what her pooping on herself.
Jesus.
Yeah, like that has to be really bad. Also on March 18th, the NFL announced it would investigate the assault allegations.
So that was
strike 3.
That is strike 3, but that's kind of concerning. Like, how do you force someone to
poop on themselves?
Well, no. Well, that's
just scare them shitless.
So she did it. You forced her to give him head.
Yeah.
So my thing is
what?
I don't know. If you're in a situation like that,
what What, you gonna say
Oh,
no?
you know what it is.
Get punched in the face?
Right, and that's what like stand up for yourself. Like I'm not gonna do that, but that's where I'm trying to look. Is she alone in a building?
Yeah.
Like the ones at the house, okay, I get it. You're alone, so shit happens. You know what I mean?
In a
Like,
building, like you're probably in a private room, you and him. Like,
but if you're in a building though, you could easily be like, no, fuck you, I'm not doing that shit, and then you walk out. You know what I mean? Like, go get somebody and be like, this is what's happening right now. Like.
I guess with like that though, you look at the power that what Deshaun Watson would hold there, right? Like, can he ruin my job? Can he ruin all these like things for me if I say no? It's not just like the physical aspect.
I guess that's true, and like, that's why it could be a complete mental fuck.
Or yeah, maybe you've been sexually abused as a child and you see him doing the same things and you freeze up.
Yeah,
I mean that's not to say like I don't know because I've never been in that situation, so it's hard to like say like why didn't you do this, this, and this? Because at the end of the day, I mean, sometimes you think you're going to do something in a situation and you aren't the person you thought you were going to be.
but because I mean, what was he saying, and like, what kind of threats was he giving you to make you so scared that you were shaking and shit yourself?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question though.
Like that, like, I just wish we had more information on that.
For sure.
And like I said, I'm not defending Deshaun Watson in any way, just to make that fucking clear.
No, but
some things it's like an explanation, like why did you feel like you had to go that? Like why didn't you? You could have been the one to break if there is more, because I know we're still going through this. Like,
yeah,
you could have broke that streak.
It didn't take long because the next day, Busby claimed 9 more civil suits had been filed against him. 22 women contacted his office regarding his conduct while receiving massages. So if you're a massage therapist in Houston area, you probably were part of this lawsuit, it seems like. One of the 9 new civil suits alleged he attempted to forcibly kiss a woman. Another one alleges he attempted to assault the same woman on 2 separate occasions.
And that's what it is. He was threatening to beat the fuck out of him.
So March 22nd, the 14th lawsuit was filed by a woman who called him a serial predator, which I think there's no better description there.
No, it's a very good description.
The incident allegedly took place in California, just the second of the 14 allegations to take place outside Houston. The traveling massage therapist alleged that when she arrived at the address that Watson had provided, he led her to a room and locked the doors behind him. After Watson allegedly forced the plaintiff's hand onto his penis during the massage, he allegedly told her, "I will not have you sign an NDA, but don't ever talk about this." All right, number one, Watson, if you're going to do something fucking stupid like that, why would you not have her sign an NDA?
Right.
I guess that would also give you, like, you knowingly did something stupid if she ever was like, fuck this NDA, I'm getting out of this. So, plaintiff also alleges Watson reached out on Instagram in December acting as if nothing had ever happened. So, by April, 22 lawsuits were filed against him. Though 18 of the professional massage therapists have since expressed support of his character, saying that the allegations contradict their experiences with him. So
18 other people are like, no, that doesn't sound like
the Watson we know. But who knows? They could have been young, attractive ladies, the ones that said that, and the other ones could be like
older.
Oh my God, this looks like Betty White. Like,
yeah,
that's why Deshaun Watson wasn't interested. Not saying Betty White is not fine, because she was before she was.
She's such a queen.
God, she's such a queen. God, I love you, Betty. Busby has since reversed his stance on sending evidence because Watson's lawyer had a son in the police force, instead of alleging to send the evidence from his clients elsewhere. By the end of it, the first woman to identify herself, Ashley Solis, claimed that during the massage appointment at her home, he exposed himself and touched her hand with his erect penis before she ended the session and asked him to leave her home. At a press conference, she said she suffers from panic attacks, anxiety, depression resulting from it. She stated, "People say that I'm doing this just for money. That is false. I come forward now so that Deshaun Watson does not assault another woman." How do you feel about that? Quiet.
I'm just more taking it all in. That one. I mean, if you're getting threatened to do shit like that, then
yeah, by this time,
I guess you're gonna handle it a certain way. So.
Nike and Beats by Dre suspended their endorsements with him. Many other places, Reliant Energy, H-E-B, they no longer want to engage with him. So 2 days later, Harden claimed that some of Watson's massages did lead to some sexual activity, but that it was consensual. So, with that being said, how do you feel about Deshaun Watson? I mean, honestly, Deshaun Watson's kind of a piece of crap, it sounds like.
So,
But it also some other people say he's not.
I think he was an NFL player taking advantage of people.
Of his position?
Yeah, he knew what he was doing when he was doing it and to who he was doing it to.
Yeah, for sure.
Some of the...
Well,
and I don't want to come off as heartless, but I do, like, when you hear some of the reactions of the, oh, this is how I felt. Like, granted, I've never been in that position, but, like, I feel like whenever there's ever a situation like this, I do feel like there are exaggerations as to...
Well, and that's not to say that all these women were 100% truthful. That's not to say they weren't.
Yeah,
either.
I'm not saying that they weren't telling the truth. I just think, like, when you over exaggerate, like,
and there could have been for sure. Honestly, there's no way to know. It's one of those things where, like, based from what we're seeing, there was a huge pattern. So more than likely, the dude's guilty.
He's obviously guilty. It's very clear that he's guilty. But I feel like I said, the overplaying. Like, I feel like sometimes people overreach just to make sure that they get the verdict that they're looking for, because I mean, and he's an NFL player, so maybe you do have to go that far for someone to go, oh, this isn't just some chick going for a cash grab, you know,
for sure,
because I'm sure that's a common thing. So, you know, so I get it to an extent, but I don't know, there's just some of these quotes that, like, you were reading off and I was just like, you know.
Would you draft him in fantasy football?
Hell no.
I don't want him on my team. That's just bad juju.
I don't. Like this, he's
not that good, but even if he was, bad juju, man.
He's a scumbag. That's the truth. The fact that he does still have, because he was found guilty, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm not entirely sure.
So
I think so.
The fact that he still has a career in the NFL blows my mind, because he's obviously using that to his power.
Well,
and
so, I was gonna say, because he got traded out of Houston.
Yeah,
after this,
he's with
the Browns.
He's with the Browns now. The Browns are like,
hell yeah, man. Join the club.
Yeah, you know, you got Hunt. He beats the shit out of women. You know, yeah, we could use a rapist. You know,
we don't have. Do we have rapists on there?
Do we have someone in that? You know, like,
yeah.
But you know, like, I don't think he should be allowed. I mean, most of these people. I mean, that.
Yeah, that's what's crazy is I know we're going through all these sexual assaults right now, but like the murders, the sexual assaults, all this. Well, the murders they usually get their just comeuppance.
Yeah,
comeuppance.
But the domestic violence and stuff, like, why do you have a career as a role model? Because that's the reality of it. Is
some don't consider themselves role models.
But unfortunately, you are playing for the National Football League, and as long as you're a player in the National Football League, you should be looked at as a role model, because being in a position like that, you have earned your right. You've worked your way through school. You have passing grades. Granted, there's probably a bunch of conspiracies behind all that, but that's not today's episode.
Oh yeah, that's Duke. Yeah, the Duke stuff was crazy.
You know what I mean? But you're at that point, you're in a position, because at any given point you can be stepping on that field, and some kid could see like the way you do things, and all of a sudden you're that kid's role model. So how is the proper way for the NFL to be like, oh yeah?
So what you're saying is pretty much whether you like it or not, you're going to be a role model to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a celebrity, I think that's part of the gig in a sense, right? Like, if you're known for being a jackass like Steve-O, like, if you want to role model that's what you're going to role model.
Right.
But he doesn't hide that that's who he is.
Exactly.
You're supposed to be role modeling football.
You're supposed to be you're supposed to be one that uses the money. Well, I mean, outside of that too, you're supposed to be known as an outstanding person, because that's the kind of level that you're at. You make millions of dollars playing football to be a positive role model to people. You want people to look up to you. You want, like, the way you act is the future of the NFL.
I mean, I do agree kind of with that. I don't know if, like, per se people are joining the NFL to be role models.
They're not. They're joining the NFL to make money. That's obvious.
Play a game and make money doing it.
Right.
So I think, like, sometimes you got to have those bad guys. Like, there's going to be people that join that don't give a shit about what a child thinks of them.
Right.
Is it the right way of thinking about it? Probably. I'd be.
But you also shouldn't be allowed to fucking have a job and beat the fuck out of women.
That I agree with too. Like, would you be okay having someone working for you that beat the shit out of their pregnant girlfriend?
Hell no, because let me tell you something. If I owned a business and I found out that a dude was hitting women, I'm gonna beat that dude's ass.
Or even your band, if you had one of your band members that were doing shit like that.
You're out.
Yeah, I can't imagine you'd put up with that. So, no, I think we're in agreement with that for sure. So
I just don't, like I said, that's unfortunately that's the world we live in. I'm sure there's probably cases along everything, but the problem is there's a lot of people. Okay, they may not be the absolute stud in the college world, but they're a or like a model person. They understand the game. They play the game well enough that could represent that organization a lot better than these thug-ass motherfuckers coming in here.
Well, and I think, depending on, how good they are at their job also depends, right?
Right.
A third stringer that, punches his girlfriend is not going to be on the team. You are not
You're
worth
gone.
the hassle. To pretend that you have the same type of pull Tyreek Hill does is not going to happen.
Right.
You have to make your way to get that good.
And that's a shame. Everybody should be held to the same accountability.
Yeah, that's not at all saying that I agree that you shouldn't. I
Right.
agree with you that but unfortunately that's the way it does seem to go. It seems.
So NFL, if you're listening to this,
Yeah, for the fourth wall break. So if you're tired of sexual stuff, let's move on from the sexual assaults and move on to something a little less divisive in politics, player politics. So there's a few things that there's two small ones, one big one that I want to talk about real quick. The small ones are. Do you remember a few years ago when the NFL denied the Dallas Cowboys when they requested to honor some police officers who were shot in the shootings of the police officers in Dallas in 2016? You remember that at all?
Can't remember that I do.
Yeah, a guy named Micah Johnson, I think. Yeah. He ambushed and shot police officers in Dallas, killing 5 and injuring 9 others, which is terrible. And it's one of those things that caused a big... Honestly, it felt like it was kind of a... they kind of got made political based off of the political environment in that time frame. But the NFL wouldn't let the Cowboys honor this police officers with, I think, whatever it was, a patch or something. Or maybe a flag or a picture or something.
So they were just yeah, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, so they just didn't let them do that. And, I guess a lot of people were pissed about it. Which I completely get to an extent. But at the same time, the NFL has a code they follow, and they didn't let them break it for that. I don't know how consistent the NFL's been on that, though.
Right. Because if you're letting some people do it, but not all,
other thing. Yeah.
But it's weird that they would tell the Cowboys that they couldn't, because that's, that's America's favorite team.
Yeah, well, Jerry can shove it, because honestly, they're not America's team anymore.
They're not.
Right now, it's the Chiefs.
Ugh.
Oh, I felt sick.
I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Yeah, the second one was the NFL initially stating that they would fine players for wearing 9/11 attack tribute cleats. They wanted to wear cleats to remember 9/11, and they did not fine the players. It was never enacted because there was so much backlash between the players and everyone. For a while there, I don't know if you remember, they were not allowed to wear cleats that were different colors, different anything. It had to fit uniform regulation.
Yeah, uniform reg, yeah.
You wear it in warm-ups, and then you eventually let them wear it in warm-ups. Now I believe you can just play in them.
Yeah.
Because it was the dumbest thing, dude. That was the kind of stuff that NFL makes me mad. Oh, you can't wear this on this game. Dude.
It makes sense. Follow uniform policy. It's like any other job.
But
you
your
know
shoes?
What I mean? Sometimes workplaces require
And I get
shoes.
that,
but that leads to that whole... What kind of a person are you as a player? Because a lot of those players do wear cleats that represent some kind of an organization that
they're trying to have cool and it's not just that though, because for a while there you couldn't even celebrate without getting in trouble.
Yeah,
still there's certain celebrations off limits, which I do get that because it's a family game. You don't need the what is it from that Key and Peele skit with the 3 pumps thing?
Yeah, the 3 pump. God, who did that? Who was that? That
was Amon-Ra, wasn't it?
No, it was Jamal.
Jamal who? Oh, he did the
Williams.
3 pumps?
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that. But
it was his last season with the Lions.
For a while there, they were making it so you just could not celebrate in any fun way with your team, with anyone. It was just silly.
Don't want to be
because they didn't want it taunting. And they finally got rid of that. But I don't agree with that one as well. But the one that we really, and this is the last one for the day, are going to talk about, which sat wrongly on some and sat okay with others, was if you remember this, the widespread controversy surrounding the national anthem. Do you remember that? Yeah. It's the 2016 season. God, I was so annoyed with that. There was a lot of anger on this one. Videos on YouTube show people burning their merchandise, hats, jerseys, pictures, which I never understood. You already paid for it. What are you doing?
Yeah, like if
that make you
you
feel
burn
good?
it, that's gonna. Hey, I burned this, so I'm gonna get my money back. Yeah.
Tons of sports eventually joined these protests. The person that you would know as starting it was San Francisco quarterback Colin Kaepernick. Most of the people who did it, and I don't want to say that did it was African American, but there was many African Americans because it is about systemic racism in the United States.
Yeah.
And what the protest was, if you were living in Sudan or like Antarctica at this point, is that cat better not jump up my fucking back. Ow, Cleo. My cat just tagged me. Sorry. The hell was that? That hurt. Damn, I forgot where it was.
You were talking about Antarctica. I'm
yeah.
just kidding.
So the protest was kneeling on one knee while the national anthem was played. Beginning in 2017, many people protested.
Yeah.
And many people counter-protested. So it actually came to a point where many people gave up the NFL, dude. I don't know if you remember how many people said they would never watch again. Well, a lot of those people are probably watching again.
They are, for sure. It was their protest, too. You know what I mean? Like,
so, background. It's a tradition in the U.S. to play the Star Spangled Banner, right?
yep.
Before most sporting events, you go to your kid's local hockey game or baseball game, and you stand, you take off your hat. It's just the thing to do.
Whatever.
Yeah. So, according to the U.S. Code, those present should stand at attention with their right hand over their heart. The NFL players were not mandated to be on the field for the anthem until 2009, though. So, we never would have had anything like this prior to that. In 2016, the NFL stated players are encouraged but not required to stand during the playing of the national anthem. Its game operations manual reads that players should stand for the anthem. Now, the controversy comes from them choosing not to. So, to look at this issue, and we've been avoiding politics for a long time on this, for the, 11 episodes we've done. The people of the United States are widely divided on this. I think
we're divided on this one.
On the intended meaning of the anthem, we're going to find out. Some believe it salutes military and police officers who have died on duty. Others, it honors the U.S. in general. Right? The antagonistic response to kneeling is raised in spite of the fact that kneeling is a demonstration of reverence, submissiveness, and deference. So, some people believe that's what the kneeling could be, and others believe that that is not appropriate. Teams across all major sports received $6.8 million from the Department of Justice between 2012 and 2015 in exchange for performance of the national anthem at their games. So the military pays them to play the national anthem. Well, not to play it, but like to do the whole patriotic shit.
Yeah.
Kaepernick and his teammate, Eric Reed, said they chose to kneel in San Diego during the anthem to call attention to the issues of racial inequality and police brutality. So, after hours of careful consideration, even a visit from Nate Boyer, a retired Green Beret and former NFL player, we have come to the conclusion that we should kneel rather than sit during the anthem as a peaceful protest, said Reed. We chose to kneel because it's a respectful gesture. I remember thinking our posture was like a flag flown at half-mast to mark a tragedy. That being said, the first time that this was spotted, I believe he was sitting, Colin Kaepernick, on the sideline that year. I don't remember. Wasn't an important part to me in the game. Afterwards, it became him kneeling, as well as with Eric Reed. With that, how did you feel about it? Initially?
I just don't. I didn't like it.
Okay.
I didn't approve of it, and that's merely because that's, which is funny because I know we talked about the whole Olympics thing with the glove, and you know, and it's a speech against that, but I don't feel like, I think there are other ways to go about it, and I think blaming and I get it's a national controversy thing, but to me, that when we are doing that, that is a salute to the soldiers. The reason we're able to do all the things we're allowed to do is because of those people that go fight for us, die for us. That's why we do those things. So, granted, yeah, they did talk to Beret, and they talked it out, but that stuff's not going to be brought to the surface when it happens. You're just going to see, why the hell is that guy kneeling?
Yeah.
And that's what it was for me. There was no background. So when it first happened, I was like,
Initially,
the hell's wrong with that guy? Get the hell on your feet and support this nation. You know what I mean? Like, support the people that are fighting for you to be able to make millions of dollars to play football.
Kind of feels entitled a little bit, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's what it looked like. I mean, obviously, as stuff goes on, it takes the heat off. I still find it, like I said, disrespectful. What do you do at games? You stand, you do that. If you want to make an action, especially when you're in that position that he was a very already widely spread known quarterback.
He'd already played in the Super Bowl, yeah.
Right, that's what I mean. There were other ways that you could have went about it, but you chose that. And because, like I said, so like at the Olympics, when they did that
The glove.
that was at the end. Everything was already done. It was like a one-time deal. That they weren't doing it every single time. It was I have a chance to speak. I'm going to speak up. But when you do that, I'm going to kneel before every game. And now everybody is starting to kneel. I feel like that just shows a bigger sign of disrespect. And granted, yeah, they were kneeling for a great thing. I'm not saying that the cause was bad.
You're not saying the police brutality you agree with.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You're saying that you just
you have a right to
disrespected.
Yeah, that's what it was, because, like I said, the only reason you're able to be out there on that field is because of the people that are out fighting for this country and making sure we stay free.
Yeah, and a lot of people do feel the kneeling is disrespectful. They believe it is disrespectful to people who died or were wounded in service, as well as police officers, military veterans.
Right. Hold a hand or something. Like, that's where, how about you make it a more positive gathering thing? Instead of kneeling, grab your teammates that you want to stand with and, like, do something different that doesn't allow you kneeling. The kneeling is what? Like, stand on your feet and maybe join in unity. You know what I mean? Do something like that. Stop. Like, the kneeling thing was just...
Well, there is a player named Torrey Smith. I don't know if you remember him, wide receiver. He mostly played for the Panthers and I think the Ravens. He had said in an interview, and this is a quote, "I understand why people are offended by people protesting the national anthem. My father served 25 years. When he dies, he's going to be wrapped in an American flag. But my dad is also out of the Army, and he drives truck all over the country, and he's a black man everywhere he goes. And sometimes he has racial incidents still today. That doesn't protect him just because he served our country, and I think that's important." So seems like he's stuck between a rock and a hard place there.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick himself has said on numerous occasions that the sole purpose of kneeling during the anthem is not to disrespect the military personnel at all, but rather that his goal is to use his platform to bring topics regarding police brutality and oppression of people of color to light.
But once again, you didn't state that before you did it. You just, like...
He didn't, but I think he didn't even, like, state he was doing it at first. They caught on to it, the cameras. He said, end quote, "I'm not going to get up to show pride in a country that oppresses black people and people of color." End quote. Kaepernick has expressed his concerns about how his actions have been labeled as anthem protests, since he considers this to be a diversion strategy from his critics to deviate the discussion from what it really means. So he believes that, like, it's not about, like, if it's disrespectful or not. That's not what I'm trying to do. His thing, actually, quote, is, "I'm not protesting the anthem or the nation. I'm protesting organized brutality. To me, this is such bigger than football, and it would be selfish to look the other way." That being said, he's still trying out football, trying to get on a team today.
Yeah, no one's going to take him.
No. Jim Harbaugh might take him on a coaching staff, I'm hearing.
No, he won't.
He didn't this year, I saw.
No, he already said. He said he appreciates Colin and blah, 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 but there is no spot for him on his team.
Well, that serves that then, huh?
Yeah.
There are bodies in the street and people getting paid leave and getting away with murder, according to Kaepernick. So, I mean, he's right. Since 2016, we have had police brutality up the wazoo.
Dude, it has. Yeah,
all the time. It feels
everywhere.
Like it's getting worse, I feel like, if anything.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming that on Kaepernick. I don't want people to think that that's what I mean by that. But it does seem to have, like, either it's being seen more. This is probably how it's always been, right? Like, I can't imagine it's just getting worse. But, I mean, people are a little bit more violent now.
Yeah, well, and the internet helps, too. Like, everything is a lot more visible now. It's not.
That's
I don't
saying, yeah, like
I don't feel like
I
it's gotten any worse. I feel like it's just a lot more visible now, and it does. It needs to be addressed. The shit needs to stop. Like, we need to come together as one. Like, we got, like, I hate, and I know this is a whole topic of itself, but the whole separation of race and like when the fuck are we gonna move past that? Like I even grew up in a racist family. You know what I mean? I did, but
I think it's gonna take a long. This is part of our identity as Americans. This is part of our history of hate.
It's disgusting.
And until we learn to move past other things too, and this will be a whole nother. We're gonna have to spend another time doing that, but
yeah,
we have to move past a lot, like the voting, like stifling the Confederate flag. I'm not saying the Confederate flag is like not important, but it should probably be in a museum, right? Like at this point, they were losers in a war that lasted less than goddamn Dale Earnhardt's career. Like, are we really gonna keep that thing out there forever? I know it's heritage, but like at a certain point, if it's offending people, like we don't keep swastikas in our yards.
We do not, because
that'd be fucked up. They're not Americans per se either, though. So it's one of those things where like you're asking, and I'm not saying you personally, but like people are asking, like, oh, you guys need to stop talking about race, but like the other side, like the white side's still talking about race in a sense, like about the heritage. It's my blah blah blah, or some people don't even know about systemic racism. So, like, my mom's like, that doesn't exist. Like, ugh.
You know, the thing, and I'm going to leave it here, as far as the whole racism topic goes, is both sides are racist.
And some people believe that
there's
as a white
racists
person,
coming from both sides.
You can't have racism against you if you're white. Some people.
Yeah, and that's crazy to me because I've literally witnessed it myself. I've had people tell me straight to my face racist things. Not to me, because they said
not about you. You mean like
it was so? Yeah, it was so. The legit comment made to me was, and it was weird. I was at work and I got along with everybody. I get along with everybody. You know, that's just like my thing. Because like, what's the point of having enemies? You know, I don't get it. So he even told me. He walked up. He goes, you know, man. He goes, I'm gonna be honest with you. He goes, I fucking hate white people. He goes, I can't stand white people. He goes, white people piss me off. They disgust me. He goes, but you're all right. He goes, I like you. He goes, you know? So, like...
Yeah, people say the oppressor can't be racist, and I don't necessarily agree with that. That doesn't make... Racist means, like, you don't like someone because of their race. That's what it comes to.
And that's straight up what it is.
And I do believe that other races can be... It's not just white people that can be racist. That's not right.
Right.
If we... Like, I know we are the oppressor in most cases.
Yeah.
But it's not just that way all the time. So...
Right. But like I said, so going back to the whole kneeling thing, I think there could have been a different way that could have come off as more understanding for everybody. You know what I mean? That probably would have... I think a lot more people would have reacted more positive had he gone a different direction with it, is all I'm going to say. There could have been a different way. And he could still have a fucking career. He wouldn't be trying his ass off.
I was going to say, there was sacrifices made, obviously. Like, he has not been able to sign a contract with any NFL team since he opted out of his contract.
Yeah, it's been almost 10 years.
I mean, yeah, you're going on 7 years now, since 17, because they believe it's because of his knee, taking the knee. Nevertheless, even though he was no longer on sideline, his movement does not stop, but rather it's gained more people since then. Yeah. So if he went to become an activist, he did. Yeah. I mean, people still know Colin Kaepernick's name. Honestly, I didn't think he was that great of a quarterback.
Yeah.
I think he was decent.
He won a Super Bowl, right?
No, he lost to the Ravens.
They lost to the Ravens? Oh,
Dragon,
you're right.
You can't run into the Dragon and expect to get out non-bird.
You're right.
But criminal justice reform is a huge issue still in this country, though. Like, whether or not, like, you agree with what he did, we all agree that things need change.
For sure. Yeah.
And one top issues they've been protesting is criminal justice reform. He was moved to protest by the deaths of African Americans at the hands of police or in police custody. That's why he wanted to do it. These deaths gained prominence through the media and something called Black Lives Matter later, which was a huge movement in itself, immediately preceding the protest. During a post-game interview, Kaepernick stated, "I am not going to stand up to show pride in the flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color, To me, this is bigger in football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way, like I said.
Yep.
He goes on to say there are bodies in the street and people getting paid to leave and getting away with murder, adding he would continue to protest during the anthem until he feels like the U.S. flag represents what it's supposed to represent. So he felt like it wasn't the America that he...
Unity and freedom.
Yeah, he wants... Yeah. He wanted more. He pledged to donate the first $1 million of his $11.9 million salary from the season to different organizations. So he did do that.
Yep.
So people who say he didn't do anything to make a difference, they aren't paying attention.
Right.
Because he did. He also pledged $100,000 per month for 10 months to various organizations. Days later, the Niners matched his pledge by pledging $1 million to 2 organizations addressing racial and social inequality.
Those are the moves that you make.
So there's like when he made this decision to do what he did, you had a crossroads there. You can either continue your NFL career, maybe you flame out, maybe you win a Super Bowl, who knows, or you can take this riskier move in kneeling, getting half the country hating your guts and the other half respecting the hell out of you, but you're going to lose your job. Like, there's no way you're going to keep your NFL job at this point. You're not worth having on the team. It's too much.
That's my big question is, like, why? I guess I don't understand why. Like, if you were already doing things to help, you could have started. You could have gotten programs. You could have been the face of a lot of these organizations to help get the word out.
Look at how much attention this thing got.
Yeah, but
bigger
now,
than anything.
Yeah, but now look at him now, dude. The dude is so desperate. It's disgusting. Like, it's actually sad how desperate it is.
Oh,
that
he wants to join a team. Yeah, but
I think even him, admit it or not, I think he's even regretting that part. I mean, I don't think
he might. I have no idea.
You know, he's probably like, damn it. You know.
Well, in September 2017, at a rally in Huntsville, Alabama, President Trump at the time said the NFL owners should fire players who kneel during the national anthem and encourage the fans to walk out. He stated that he would love to see the NFL owners say, and quote, "Get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out. He's fired. He's fired." He called the players' protest a total disrespect of our heritage, and he added on that the new NFL safety rules created to protect players from concussions were ruining the game for the public. That last part was just part of the quote. I don't know. His statement came after new research indicated NFL players are at risk for CTE. That was really, they're still working on that now. He said his criticism of the protesters was not related to race. He said this has to do with respect for our country and respect for our flag. He said in the games immediately following his statements, the protests gained broader participation when over 200 players, because he did say something, sat and knelt during the anthem. Others linked arms with their teammates or raised fists.
There you go.
And 3 teams chose to stay in the locker room for the anthem altogether. However, the response quickly turned into one towards Trump rather than Kaepernick's original protest of racial injustice, which took away largely from Kaepernick's original message. So it kind of was not what Kaepernick was going for, but Trump kind of sucks the oxygen out of a room when he's in it. Like, he gets a lot of that attention.
Yep.
Reasons cited by players, owners, and coaches include supporting freedom of speech and opposing what they considered intimidation by Trump. Others said they took offense to Trump demeaning the integrity of their primarily African-American colleagues, when a month earlier he had hesitated to condemn the white nationalists who protested in Charlottesville, Virginia. So we could go forever on Trump's his own thing. That's like a whole year worth of shit.
Yeah, let's get us started.
But what it did do is it did open up the door for people to be like, dude, what the hell, man? Why are you getting involved? Now we're pissed off. Now you're making our movement even bigger because people are going to do it out of protest. But he also inflamed the other side where people are not going to games.
Yeah.
I know many people who said, I'm done with the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with them anymore. Well, same guy who told me that he was done with the NFL came up to me the next year and he's like, hey, man, how about those Lions, right? Yeah. I thought you weren't watching. Yeah, I'm not watching, man.
Yeah.
It kind of snuck off. So, yeah, dude, you're watching. Many people have done it since, though. It's slowed down for sure. We're not at the height of where it was anymore. For sure. People don't care about it as much anymore because it's moved on to something else.
Yeah.
But the protests went on for the 2016 season. We're looking at 2017 season, 2018 season, 2019 season, 2020, and it just keeps going and going. Kind of after 2020, when COVID hit, we were kind of on our own. We had our mindset.
There was a bigger thing.
No one cares about that anymore.
Well, I'm not going to say bigger thing. I'm not going to say that. I said that, and I didn't mean it that way. But there was a different
it was
big,
more immediate at the time for a lot of people.
it was kind of like, oh, this is kind of really serious. That's affecting everybody right now. That could possibly kill us.
Yeah, COVID took over everything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole. People in the future are going to look back on 2020 and be like, let's diagnose this year and how crazy people were, like those people with the fucking putting buckets on their heads and shit. God, we're gonna get so much good shit out of that when someone makes a movie about it one day. So the reactions of a lot of people, Barack Obama stated that, end quote, that Kaepernick was exercising his constitutional right to protest.
And he was.
He went on, I don't doubt his sincerity. I think he cares about some real legitimate issues that have to be talked about. If nothing else, he's generated more conversation about issues that have to be talked about. That's what Obama had said. President Obama said. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who's now passed, criticized the protest as dumb and disrespectful. She's a very liberal Supreme Court justice, stating athletes have the right to protest if they want to be stupid. So she says she doesn't agree with it, but they have the right to do it.
See, I'm not going to call it. See, I think the word stupid.
Yeah, I don't think it's stupid.
I don't think it was stupid. I just think it was the wrong gesture.
Yeah. The Supreme Court later issued a statement from Ginsburg stating her comments were inappropriately dismissive and harsh. She should have declined to respond.
Yeah.
We had other U.S. representatives kneeling on the floor of the House of Representatives. Sheila Jackson Lee and fellow Congressman Mark Pocan knelt on the floor. I mean, tons of people. Like Mike Pence left a game in 2017 for the Colts and the Niners, members of which had knelt during the anthem because President Trump and I will not dignify any event that disrespects our soldiers, our flag, or our national anthem. He left in the middle of it. I felt like that was kind of like performance. Like he went there because it was San Francisco. He knew what was going to happen there.
Yeah.
And they did. They knelt.
So now he was trying to...
And he storms out. And you'll hear from my lawyer. And he just takes off, dude. With that little fly that used to buzz around his head in that one debate. Someone else, an Oklahoma State representative, said that if the Oklahoma City Thunder kneeled, he would re-examine their tax benefits. So they were starting to get threatened over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it eventually goes into Black Lives Matter, which is a whole thing that turns into other things, that turns into the protests all across the U.S. after George Floyd, which turns into marches on all kinds of stuff. So corporations all were a part of it as well. I believe Nike signed a huge deal with Colin Kaepernick after the fact, because apparently any news is good news for them. They're going to stand by it, even though they don't stand by a lot of their athletes, I feel like. Ratings for the NFL were in decline for the past couple of years, except for 2018, which saw an increase of 4%. But they were down that year, those years. That actually did impact.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that did stop watching. It did hurt the NFL, and they were in a rock and a hard place. Because you can either tell Kaepernick, no, you don't, and piss off tons of people who watch your stuff, or tell him, you can do what you want, man. And piss off the other half that you what are you gonna do as the NFL?
Yeah,
you really don't have a choice there. So
because he did end up just getting fired, right? That's what it was.
He didn't get fired. His contract ran out and no one rehired him.
Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, he just it
wasn't. I guess I never knew. Yeah, I guess
point.
I never knew the actual. I couldn't remember if they were just hey, you're gone. Or...
He sued the NFL, I believe. He was trying to sue to see if they had a whole plan to not hire him, which I'm pretty sure they did. Let's be real. They probably were don't hire Kaepernick because he's just going to cause more issues for your team, which is not allowed.
Yeah, because, they were seeing a decline in money because at the end of the day, that's a corporation. So your stocks start going out. Your stockholders are going to start freaking the fuck out. You're going to start losing money.
Well, and some of the way these owners have talked about, which we're not going to get into today, but, they've done some crazy stuff. So, the Black Power Fist is kind of just like this, like you said, from the Olympics. So it's very similar in a sense. There was even hashtags on Facebook and Twitter at the time called hashtag take a knee, hashtag take the knee. Millions of tweets on it. So,
see, I guess my biggest take on it too, if you're trying to signify unity, right?
Yeah.
Because that's obviously we need to unite. We need to become a nation. I feel like that's why the act for me just doesn't hit well either. Because if you're trying to signify unity, then why do you separate yourself from the rest of the pack?
Well,
why wouldn't you join? Why wouldn't that's why I said that locking the arms. I knew a team that did that. I loved
think
that.
the
I was
Cowboys
like,
meant- I think Jerry Jones said you are not going to kneel. Find something
yeah,
other way.
find something exactly, and that's a hell of a. That is what's up, because then people are like, why the fuck are all these people locking arms? And then that's when you're able to go, because this is what it is. That you're God. That's what it is.
Well, I'm one of those people, like you said, that we probably won't agree on this one, where I believe that, like,
You're all for it.
you have the right to do, like, I understand where people come from for it, though, where it seems really disrespectful to certain people. I didn't take it as disrespect as much as, like, I knew it was going to cost him his job, like, and you can't force people to hire you.
Yeah.
Like, you took that risk when you did it, so I do think it opened up a lot of good conversations. Whether you like him or hate him, he did open up a lot, and it got us kind of on the upswing for when George Floyd did have his thing.
Yeah.
For the Black Lives Movement. There was already stuff in place to, like, protest, like, organize. I mean, it kind of all turned into something. I don't know if that's all related or not, but it just feels like we've been on a constant cycle since 2015-16, where it's just been boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
boom,
there's
boom,
one
boom,
that just
boom,
happened in Grand Rapids probably like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I remember that guy. I forgot his name, but, like, he was, like, running, and this police shot him. Like, and I work with police officers all the time in my job. I'm not going to say what it is, but I work with them all the time. And honestly, a lot of the guys I work with are great guys. Like,
Yeah,
there's a
lot more great police officers.
But the problem is one rotten apple can ruin the bunch.
Right.
And I have seen some really, I've also seen some guys that were like, ugh, I don't know if I'd want to be arrested by that guy. He seems like he would turn off his body cam. Not saying he would, but that's the feeling I get from some of them. Like, not as much anymore. It feels like, after the whole issue with defund the police, Black Lives Matter kind of thing, a lot of people got out of the field because it was just too dangerous for police officers too at the time.
Yeah.
And for a while there, I thought they were going to get a lot of really bad people going in, and some maybe are, but, like, on a lot, at least in the town I live in, really nice guys. Like, they're trying. Some of them don't look like police officers, but they're getting into it. But, yeah. So that's where we're going to end it with the controversy today. We're just stopping with the players. We're already going quite a while on this one, it feels like. We've actually been running for a minute. So, really important stuff. Really enjoyed talking about that one. I know we spent a lot of time on that last one. I knew we were, though.
Yeah.
I knew we were going to. That's why we saved that one for last. But, honestly, with all these things, NFL controversies can go forever.
There's so many,
There's
dude.
so many. We had to break it down. We were looking through them. We're like, let's just do players. Like, we're not even going to go into the bounty gate, the deflate gate, the spy gate, the Saints bounty gate. Like, there's so many of them. Or even the scheduling area, whatever it was. So, do you have anything, any closing remarks?
Not really. Just, I don't know. I feel like going over, like, this topic, because, I'm not one to kind of dig into the dirt. You know what I mean? So, like, now that we've pulled a lot of this, I'm like, ugh.
That's what I like doing, though.
You
That's
know
what
what
I
I
like.
mean? It's just I have a different point of view in the NFL now, and it's kind of scary for me. I mean, I'm obviously still going to love the NFL. I'm not going to, not love the NFL.
Oh, yeah. I do enjoy watching it.
But I just feel like, after looking over all this, I think the NFL needs to do a little bit more evaluating. I think they need to stop looking at, top players for, like, just because someone's really good at something. I get that. Okay, that's a winning opportunity for your team. I get that, but some people just aren't all the way there, and that it's come to, like, that. It's very clear that, especially with that list that we saw, because I mean, we only covered probably maybe half of that list.
Yeah, we didn't cover all of them.
You know what I mean? And I think more mental evaluations need to be had. More mental evaluations need to be had, I think, upon somebody coming into something like that.
Well, it seems like they're making a lot of strides with the Guardian caps. I mean, they look so silly.
They do.
But, I mean, it's probably going to help with a lot of the concussions these people get. Like, they do have a lot of brain injuries that people, like, have been looking into after that. I don't know if you've ever seen that Will Smith movie, Concussion.
Oh.
It's about the doctor who started linking CTE with concussions. Now, I've never seen it either, but I did hear that, like, the NFL was trying to cover it up, it felt like, for a while there.
Huh.
Because it was just, like, what are you going to do with I remember when they used to get concussions, and it'd be like, all right, put some ice on and get back in the game.
Yeah, get back out there, yeah.
I remember seeing that as a high schooler.
Yeah.
Other teams doing that. I mean, we had our quarterback get nailed. And it was, we were going against a team called Athens. And, like, I remember he was concussed as hell. Luckily, our coach did not put him back in the game.
Yeah.
Like, you need to sit. But I remember on the bus ride home, dude, he doesn't remember any of it. I still have talked to him about this. He just, like, I remember he was picking his nose, man. He just starts wiping it on the kid in front of him. He doesn't remember anything about it. Like, he's just doing that in the middle of the bus ride. Like, he just, eyes glassed over. I'm like, hey, man, you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. But, like, years later, I'm like, hey, dude, are you good? He's like, I don't remember any of that, dude. Like, at all. Like, I missed the second half of the Athens game.
Yeah. That's like crazy.
I remember the hit, dude. Like, it was like the dude was huge, and if you know the guy, you know who I'm talking about. Obviously, I'm not gonna use his name but bashed into this big ass dude, man, and it did not go well for our guy.
No.
He just went down, and they had to knock him up with smelling salts. They had to bring him back. So, just crazy. But yeah, who knows how many concussions he has had over his career, and how many that's gonna affect him later in life.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting to later in life now, so we gotta care about that stuff.
We are.
I mean, I got a colonoscopy scheduled here soon. You know what I mean?
Like, Jesus, looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's got to be coming up. But no, that's all my closing remarks on it: colonoscopies and people wiping their boogers on things. Like I said, it's been a pleasure talking about it. That was an interesting topic. So we went through quite a bit on this one. I know it was not really contained to one issue like our last few episodes, but sometimes it's nice to kind of branch and see a few things all at once. So, if that's all you got, then
that's all I got.
I am Wolf.
I'm Badge.
And we are out.
Badge out.